everyone, welcome back to the Bottle Raiders channel. My name is Annie. I hope you're having a good day today. I recently posted a video where I busted 5 whiskey myths that I hear a lot, and it turns out that all of you hear them a lot too, and all of you had more whiskey myths that you've been hearing that are bothering you because they are simply untrue. So much so that I've decided, by popular request, to make a part 2. Without further ado, I'm going to pour myself a dram of Glenallachie 15, a fantastic whiskey, and let's get into 5 more whiskey myths that everyone seems to believe. I see all your comments on my videos and your utmost concern for the spillage of the whiskey in my glass, so I promise that today I'm going to do my best not to shake it around too much. Anyway, myth number 1 is that flavour only comes from the cask. Not true. Yes, the cask is a major player, but the cask is only going to account for about 60 to 70% of the final flavour of the whiskey. There are way more factors involved than just the wood. The spirit itself matters a lot. The type of grain used, the variety of that grain used, the shape and the size of the still used, the length of fermentation, the speed of distillation, all of that is going to matter hugely in the final flavour of the whiskey. Longer fermentation, for example, can produce a funkier, fruitier spirit, which is why whiskies from distilleries like Springbank or Ben Nevis will have such characterful whiskies, even if they're a bit younger and haven't been in the wood for that long. In terms of still shape, a tall still is going to give a lighter, more delicate whiskey like Glenmorangie, for example, but a distillery with short, squat stills like Macallan is going to have a more oily, rich distillate, and that's before it's even hit the wood. The water source and the cut points also really matter. They can create really different results in flavour in the whiskey. The point is, cask creates a lot of flavour, but it's not everything. If your spirit's got no soul, the barrel can't save it. Myth number 2, whiskey lasts forever once opened. We wish. Whiskey is not gonna spoil like juice or wine or milk. It contains alcohol, which is going to prevent bacterial growth, but once you open the whiskey, oxidation does start to happen. What's happening is oxygen starts to react with compounds in the whiskey, and that can dull some of the brighter flavours. It's not going to become unsafe to drink, but you're not going to have the same experience as when you first opened it. Light and temperature swings can speed up this process, and also the more whiskey that's gone from a bottle, the faster this oxidation process is going to happen. And that's because there's more space for air and oxygen in the bottle, so the reaction is happening faster. We're not talking about huge changes in days or weeks, but months and years, you are going to taste a difference. My best advice for this would be store your bottles in a cool, dry place away from direct sunlight, and if your bottles are starting to become less full, decant the remaining whiskey into smaller bottles so that oxidation will happen less quickly. Myth number 3, and this is the one you were all shouting at me in the comments, and that is that darker whiskey is better quality. I think we're quite used to equating colour with flavour in food, so things like a red wine and a white wine, or a light roast and a dark roast coffee. But whiskey works a little bit differently, and whiskey colour may teach you more about the cask type that was used than the quality of the whiskey. And let me explain what I mean by that. Something like a sherry cask, especially a first fill sherry cask, gives the whiskey colour a lot quicker, and the whiskies tend to be more golden. Look at this Glenallachie I'm drinking, for example. This has no added colour and it's beautifully golden, and people associate that with quality. If you matured a whiskey in a refill cask, it might age for 20 years and still be a very golden, pale amber colour. Doesn't mean the whiskey's bad by any means. It's been matured for 20 years, but it's not going to look like something that's aged in a sherry cask, even if the sherry whiskey aged for significantly less time. Something else you have to consider is that distilleries are actually allowed to add E150A or caramel colour to their whiskey to give it a darker rich appearance, and they don't have to disclose it. So you might see a really golden, dark, gorgeous looking dram, but it's been artificially darkened, so it doesn't actually say much about what the whiskey is going to taste like. There are many great tasting dark coloured whiskies, but there are also some fantastic drams that are very pale in colour but have gorgeous complexity and depth of flavour. Colour is just not necessarily indicative of what you're going to taste, so always take what you see with a pinch of salt. I don't think I've been very good at not shaking my dram around. I'm sorry everyone. I'm going to try hard for the rest of the video. Myth number 4 is an interesting one, and that is that Japanese whiskey is always from Japan. Until 2021, there were no legal rules about what would count as Japanese whiskey. So there were some distilleries in Japan who were importing whiskey from places like Scotland or Canada and then blending them into some whiskey made in Japan, sticking a label on that said Japanese whiskey and selling it as such. To the average drinker around the world, if you see something with Japanese writing on the front, which said Japanese whiskey, and it was sold next to lots of well-known authentic Japanese whiskies, you wouldn't really know any better. This eventually led to a lot of confusion around the world, and in 2021 some laws were put into place to make a definition that Japanese whiskey had to comply with to be labelled Japanese whiskey. The liquid has to be fermented, distilled, aged at least 3 years and bottled in Japan using Japanese water and grain. So nowadays, a lot of what's produced does fall under that umbrella category of Japanese whiskey. If it doesn't say Japanese whiskey on the label, that means it's probably not all from Japan, if any of it. That doesn't mean it's not going to taste good. It just means it might not be a Japanese whiskey. So do what you want with that information. The last myth for today, myth number 5, chill filtration ruins whiskey. This one really divides whiskey drinkers. A lot of whiskey that you see will say non-chill filtered on the bottle. If you don't know what chill filtration is, it's a process where whiskey is cooled down, often to 0 degrees or lower, and then passed through a filter to remove fatty acids, proteins, and esters. These compounds can cause cloudiness when the whiskey is cold or diluted. Now, some whiskey drinkers believe that those fatty acids and oils contribute to flavour and mouthfeel and complexity, and believe that if you chill filter the whiskey, you're dumbing it down and you don't get the full version of the whiskey and the complexity. They say that non-chill filtered whiskies have more texture and a richer finish. The truth is that chill filtration does not ruin whiskey, it just changes it. Some whiskies really benefit from the chill filtration. It's definitely not fair to say that all chill filtered whiskies are inferior. That's definitely not the case. There are some excellent quality chill filtered whiskies out there. The point is, don't judge a whiskey's quality on whether it's chill filtered or not. Drink the whiskey and then make your mind up. Anyway, that was 5 more whiskey myths. Hopefully I've busted for you. Let me know if there are any more whiskey myths I've missed out. Possibly I'll do a part 3, but you let me know. If you are someone who loves whiskey, I would be so appreciative if you would subscribe to the Bottle Raiders YouTube channel and give this video a thumbs up, because then I know what you guys like and I can make more similar content. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Follow for more.